Alright, it's time to talk about Blackbird for the last time. Today, we've gone through all the stories, okay? All the main stories, that is. We still have yet to cover the epilogue. These mysterious black pages at the end of the book that they always have something good in store. And let me tell you, I read it, and yeah, this is a weird one, but I really like it. I mentioned this in my hide-and-seek video. I mentioned how excited I was to get to this, so let's talk about it. But first,
only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you want to see more, consider subscribing.
it's free and you can always unsubscribe later. Quick summary, so basically this one pretty much only follows Larson again, Detective Larson, who's investigating the Stitch Wraith. He's found the old factory where Jake and Andrew inside of the Stitch Wraith are collecting all these various animatronics from all of these stories together for some mysterious purpose. And he gets here as they're putting the final pieces on the pile, including the Foxy plush that is in Lonely Freddy. Remember the 5th story in the entire series? Yeah. So we know that that's connected to this now. I kind of assume every story is connected, but now we have confirmation for that one. So whatever that means. The weird thing is Larson mentions he can hear someone whispering inside the factory. The Stitch Wraith has never talked before. Jake and Andrew inside of it have been talking, but apparently other people can hear them talking as well, which is interesting. Either that or it's someone completely different whispering. If that's the case, I have no idea who it could be. So Larson finds the Stitch Wraith inside of this factory, ready to dump the Foxy plush into this big old pile of stuff. And the Stitch Wraith sees Larson, he raises his gun, he's scared, and Jake tries to convince Andrew not to attack Detective Larson. So Andrew wants to stop him so that they can actually get on with their business. In other words, he wants to kill him. Jake is trying to stop him, and the animatronic to Larson just looks like it's doing this spastic dance, just shaking and convulsing. And so he's terrified out of his mind, but eventually Jake manages to get control, and he presses the start button on the trash compactor that all these little items are in. So the compactor starts, and the Stitch Wraith throws itself into the compactor. I'm assuming Jake does this. And we don't know why yet, but we will in a second. So now all the junk is just being turned over and crushed inside of this compactor, including the Stitch Wraith and including Jake and Andrew. And they kind of don't want this. They kind of want to get out of here actually now. So Jake tries to grab Andrew's hand. And the weird thing is here, obviously these guys aren't alive and obviously they don't have real bodies, but they talk about it as if they, Jake says he tries to grab Andrew's hand even though they don't really have hands, so it seems to be kind of almost a metaphor? I'm not quite sure. Now, as Jake is trying to pull Andrew out of the way, he looks down and he sees where below Andrew there is this mix of muddy brown, yellows, reds. I'm not sure what that means, but it seems to be just the trash kind of being crushed together under them. So Jake is trying to pull Andrew out of here, but he realizes something else is with them, keeping him from getting Andrew out of this place. And as Jake is trying to pull him, he says towards the happy memory that Jake has. In the last book, he caught a glimpse of this memory with his dad where they were in a baseball field watching a game. He's trying to pull Andrew towards that. It's all very cryptic. But then Jake realizes that the reason it isn't working is because someone else is there with them, trying to pull Andrew back down. And as this is happening, Detective Larson sees light start to shine from the junk in the compactor. Yeah, this is weird. Something's happening. And the person who's trying to stop them, this hitchhiker we've been hearing about since Stitch Wraith 3, where they realize someone else is probably in here with them, is the man. The crispy sausage in a hospital bed who we saw in The Man in Room 1280. And he's here with them, and he's trying to pull Andrew back down because, as we know, Andrew and this man have some sort of beef. Presumably, this man killed him. Now Andrew's trying to get his revenge, but now as he's trying to escape, the man is pulling him back down. And so yeah, the man comes out of this junk, and he's right below them. He's trying to pull Andrew down with him. And 2 rabbit ears start to twist themselves out of his flesh, out of his head, and over top of his head. Kind of proving, yeah, okay, this is William, all right. This next part is a bit weird. I think the only real way to explain it is just a quote from it, because it's hard to explain. Just listen. Jake felt the creature claw at him. It felt like he was being mauled and pummeled by a force filled with a never-ending need to inflict pain. But he didn't give in to it. Throwing everything he had into his effort and drawing on the power of his memory, Jake turned himself into a massive bat of intention, and he swung away, knocking Andrew loose from the evil that held him. Andrew, suddenly free, was sucked away, and he vanished. Jake, however, couldn't untangle himself from the relentless rabbit creature. He fell back into the seething junk and was engulfed in blackness. Whatever that means, I guess Jake has been caught now and Andrew's free. And then the junk just stops glowing, stops moving, the compactor stops, and everything just stops. And Larson is dumbfounded. He has no idea what's going on, so he decides, okay, I'm just gonna go back to my vehicle and make a log of this. So this is what he records. The Stitch Wraith appears to be dead, he said into the recorder. He felt like an idiot. Dead wasn't the right word for what he just witnessed, was it? And what exactly did he see? I saw an animatronic endoskeleton with a doll's head and some kind of battery, wearing a hooded trench coat, putting stuff in a trash compactor and pulverizing it. It also destroyed itself. I think the stuff in the compactor came from the Fazbear Entertainment Distribution Center, and also from the site where the serial killer, William Afton, the one notorious for wearing a rabbit costume, died. We're not quite sure where he died. There was mention of a fire before in one of the previous books, but we don't know where that was, what happened there, or even how it ended or started. We know nothing about it. And it seems like Larson is coming really close to actually figuring out everything going on here. I mean, he's pretty close to the truth. He's figuring out about the kids, he's figuring out the hauntings, he's figuring out a ton of stuff. It's actually, it's kind of impressive. Good job, Larson. Now this is the coolest part. Okay, this is where things start to get really, really sci-fi and really, really cool. So, the trash starts to move, right? The trash starts to move. It starts to come up out of the compactor and form a shape. It seems to be the shape of a man. Interesting. And all these different parts of different animatronics and toys are coming together to form this huge creation. Its arms become legs, and legs become arms. Shins are used for the neck of the thing. And all of this comes together to form this man shape, and then 2 bunny ears, again, come out of the head. And I'm at a loss. I don't know what's going on, but the trash comes alive, it becomes this giant mech thing, and it comes up behind Detective Larson. He doesn't see it in his car, and that's where this ends. On, probably the biggest cliffhanger of the Stitch Wraith story yet, and the end of the book. I am at a bit of a loss. We know, for a while there, we were starting to get a lot more answers about what was going on here, right? In the first Stitch Wraith story, we learned about this thing. And we learned that it was connected to some other stories, first of all, To Be Beautiful. In the second book, we started to learn some answers. Okay, it's connected to Margie, whoever that was, we didn't know at the time. It's collecting pieces of these animatronics, like the Plushtrap Chaser. And that was kind of all we knew. Third book, we learned its origin story. Fourth book, we learned who's inside of this thing, who's haunting it, and what their goal is. Fifth book, I don't remember what happened to the fifth book. Oh yeah, this is the one where the fire is first mentioned, and also where Andrew and Jake, we see them collecting everything, and we see the factory it's in. We learn more in each one, and we still get questions raised, but we've always learned something. In this book, it's basically just questions. At least we get a confirmation that the man is William, and that he's in the Stitch Wraith now, and that he's the hitchhiker that was mentioned in the third story. But, I have so many questions. What is this mech thing? It seems like it's controlled by William, but, why? What's his goal now? My biggest question is, how is he, if he's in this giant mech thing, how is he going to, avoid people seeing him? I mean, for the Stitch Wraith, it's okay, right? It's still relatively human-sized. It can kind of get around, sneak around, but for this giant rabbit creature thing, whatever it is, how is that thing supposed to, maybe it won't even try, maybe it'll just start going on a rampage through the streets. I mean, I'd be up for it, hey. Sounds cool to me. but we don't know what its goal is. Obviously, it seems to be controlled by William. I'm wondering what he's going to do now, and I'm still... The more stories of this that come out, the more I start to believe this could be connected to maybe the games. I'm not sure, maybe not all of them, but the Stitch Wraith story in itself seems like it could be connected to at least one of the other stories. Maybe the books, even. The original book, Silver Eyes. It's hard to say. I don't think that's really Scott's intention, but I can't help but wonder, you know. And as for what happened to Jake and Andrew, I'm really not sure. So Jake, like, he seems to have been dragged into this thing. Andrew somehow escaped. Actually, if I remember correctly, I believe one piece of junk went flying out, right? Yeah. The endoskeleton, the Stitch Wraith endoskeleton, flew out. So presumably Andrew is still in there, but Jake is trapped inside of this rabbit thing. Jake could be dead, but I don't think he is. A lot of people have been saying, okay, Jake's probably dead because he was captured by the man. I don't think so. I think he's trapped inside of this mech thing. I haven't come up with a good name for it. Maybe I should. People have started just calling it the Miscreation, I believe. Something like that. I don't know, a decent name. But I think he's trapped in there. Andrew seems to still be in the Stitch Wraith because it was spewed out of the thing. So it's hard to say where we're going to go from here. But I'm really curious, and I'm really excited to find out. Either way, this is not going to be ending anytime soon. We have 5 more books in this series, at least. Probably more, because one thing I have seen people say is the first 4 books had a box set, so we could probably expect the next 4 books to also have a box set, which would end with, I believe, Gumdrop Angel, and then, you know, then we have 3 more. So we're presumably, I would think we're at least going to get 12. But then again, a little while ago, I thought, hey, we're probably going to end up getting 10. Maybe it'll end up being like 20. I don't know. It's a lot of books, and this story is still going, but I do think we're at least at the end of something. I have a lot of questions, but I think this is kind of, it feels like a bridge between the first start of the story was like Larson is trying to get the Stitch Wraith is trying to get this junk. Now we don't know what anyone's goal is. We don't even know if Larson will survive. We don't know if Jake's alive. We don't know what William's goal is, and we don't know how Andrew will deal with this since he's now the only one in the Stitch Wraith. It feels like it's kind of the end of that chunk and the beginning of another, which would make sense as a kind of halfway point if it's like, because this is the first 6 books, that's halfway through the series, so this could be a halfway point through the Stitch Wraith story. I'm not sure, it's hard to really guess, but I'm excited to see what happens next, and in like a month, we are getting the next book, so I'm excited. And I'll definitely cover it when it comes, because I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't wait. It's going to be so cool. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I still don't have an outro. Please give me outro ideas. I need something. Okay, bye.